Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Glow. My name is Dr. Sarah Elizabeth Ivanhoe, and I've been the content advisor with Glow for almost 10 years now. We're really excited to having kicked off this educational series, this webinar series, where we get to take our teachers, our experts, who you've been practicing with for so long, who you do practices with, and different routines and sort of experiential learning, and to grab our teachers and take them out of that setting and get a chance to really learn, get a chance to really have them talk about their areas of expertise, sometimes when you're teaching a class, things can feel rushed and you can't really convey all of the information that you want to. And so that's why we started this series. Tonight, we've got Amy Rosoff Davis joining us. We're really excited. Here she is, she's waving. Amy's been teaching for almost 15 years, sort of officially, but really probably like most of a lifetime, in all honesty. And Amy teaches many modalities with us and has been had an evolution of so many different types of artistic expression and forms and teaching. Little known fact, Amy and I share a very common, very beautiful common bond, and that is we both went to the NYU Tisch School of the Arts. So we connected on that. And tonight, I'm sure one of us, right now, for those of you, some of you will be watching this on a recording later, but for those of you who are joining us live, we're doing this right now in November, just about a week out, right before Thanksgiving, where we're all headed into this season of holidays and family and challenges and all sorts of dynamics that can be incredibly beautiful and meaningful, but can also sometimes be challenging. So one of the things that Amy is really an expert on is not just how to do a practice, but to also really be a spokesperson on how to navigate life balance, how to connect with your family, how to be present, how to navigate all these challenges. So I'm going to kick it off to Amy in just a moment here. But what we'd like from you, the audience, to do is when you start to get questions and have things that you want to ask her, don't wait, jump right in. And the way that you ask a question on this Google Meet is you go to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. There's 9 little dots, just click it. And there is a Q&A option. And you can just go ahead in and start typing away, ask questions either about the practice or of Amy herself, anything you want to either get advice on or really get guidance on, and chime in as we go. Amy will speak for about 40-45 minutes. And then after we wrap that up, we'll be taking your questions and having a little bit of a dialogue before we end up the session. I think that's all it. Amy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's really an honor to have you.
Thank you, and the feeling is mutual. And I'm to be I gotta pop up. Oh, questions. Sorry, I guess I have to ignore that. I'm so honored to be a teacher on Glow, and I've been teaching, like you said, for many years. And I'm also still constantly a student and love being a student. And I think just the point of life is growth and learning, and I learn every day and every moment. Down to 10 minutes ago, I'm like wrangling my kids with our new babysitter, which, full transparency, we didn't have that much help for that long. So the juggle is for real, from the multiple careers, parenting, running a house, all the things. And my daughter was not really, listening, which of course she's 8. And I said, I have to go, and I'm doing this workshop. And she said, can you just give me a hug? And I was like, yeah. And so I just think we're all like every moment, and a lot of times I'm like this, and I did this workshop I attended on your body and how you support yourself. And sometimes you're standing, I'll be like this, and I'm like, you're really just giving yourself a hug. And that's, if we need 8 hugs, or 12 kids need 12 hits of oxytocin a day, like you can hug yourself. So that was just a little anecdote that just happened that resonated with me, because even, as teachers, really, I feel like I'm a beginner in life every day. We just got a puppy, which you might hear barking a week ago, because I needed one more thing to fill my heart, and, we're learning. So yes, I have been teaching movement and been a student of movement since as long as I could walk. I was a dancer growing up. I started at 5 years old doing tap, ballet, jazz, competed, did all of the, dance competitions, was very active. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, on a lake, Cuba Lake. So it was water skiing at a young age, downhill skiing, hiking, nature, and health and wellness has been instilled in me since I was little. My parents are hippies. So while kids were getting chips in their lunch, my mom was packing rice cakes and carrots, and I feed those to my kids and they love them. So my movement and nourishment and my wellness practice is very much ingrained in me since birth. And so I'm trying to do the same with my kids, which is, growing up in Los Angeles, a very different city than I grew up in, a challenge at times, and also so clear at times, down to that moment where my daughter just needed a hug. And my teaching has grown from, being a dancer, competing, really all I wanted to be my whole life, which I still want to be, is an actress, which I am. I actually play Harrison Ford's neurologist on Shrinking. I'm in lots of commercials, and I've had a full film and television career, and went to NYU's Tisch to study that. And while I was in New York, I used, oh my gosh, there's a puppy right out the window, of course. Yep. He's not supposed to go out there yet. You're always bumping your toes as an actor, improv artist. There you go. Someone hopefully will grab him. I'm just going to make sure he's safe out there. This is a for real moment. This is not planned. Is someone going to get the puppy that just went in the backyard? Hold on. This is not a joke. I'm so sorry. Hey, you got him? Okay. So anyway, there you go. Not a dull moment. So while I was at NYU, used New York City as my my everything, which one would, from art and culture to walking for hours and exploring neighborhoods, to becoming really obsessed with this yoga studio called Jivamukti, which, if you've been to or heard of it, is a very wonderful and unique sort of practice that combines different types of yoga and is like it was a movement. And so I wound up becoming obsessed and was going every day and said, I have to learn to teach yoga someday. And in my acting studio, we also had to learn Tai Chi and clowning and different kinds of viewpoints, which is about speed, changing all the different viewpoints in movement. And so that was a really great foundation for years, growing up in New York and doing that in college. And then upon moving out here, did the classic actress, waitress job. And because movement is so ingrained in also my mental health and wellness, and I'm fully addicted to endorphins. They're wonderful. And I always say to clients, friends, people, it feels good to feel good. And your body literally gives you the hormones to feel good from moving. So was always at a million different exercise classes here in LA when I moved here, from kickboxing to everything at Gold's Gym to every kind of, there's so many amazing classes and teachers here in LA. So between doing that and waiting tables and auditioning and acting, realized after being on a television show that was canceled, I no longer wanted to wait tables and I wanted to help people move, and I loved movement. So became certified in Pilates, yoga, all of the things. And what I was very lucky and fortunate that I wound up at a great studio called Ballet Bodies, which combined my childhood ballet training with Pilates, and was a very unique type of Pilates. And the woman that owned that studio had worked for Tracy Anderson, who I also had just loved all of Tracy Anderson's moves. And I taught rebounder classes there, and I taught mat ballet and all kinds of amazing things. And the clientele was incredible. And I was able to grow my own unique version of her movement with my background in yoga, and just, being like the kitchen sink workout, which could be like 1,000 jumping jacks, and, the kickboxing class, the ballet, the Pilates, the yoga. So a lot of clients wanted to have me train them on their own. So I went off and started training clients privately. Was fortunate that a lot of them had big names, and so helped me then grow my own practice and my own brand, essentially. And then, of course, I had kids as soon as I got back from tour with one of my clients, Selena Gomez, who helped grow an Instagram following, which I didn't even know really what that was. And then said, well, this is a great other way for me to share my love of movement, and that there's not one answer, that there's not one type of movement, that there's not one size fits all, that thank God we all look different. And if we just stayed on our own mat and moved from a hike to a workout with a friend to a dance class, that we might all be a little happier and feel a little better. And then becoming a parent and going through pregnancy and then getting more certifications, going back to Ashtanga, going back to, checking my own ego on the mat. Cause I was like, oh, I don't need blocks. I don't need props ever. And I love props. I use them all the time. And so again, going back to being a student and relearning maybe the practices you did for so long that then don't meet you at that stage in life. And to be able to be humbled and open enough is a really beautiful place to say, oh my God, I was doing that wrong for a very long time. And I was great at Jiva Mukti, but I did not do that Chaturanga right. And realizing that a strong foundation in movement and the quality of your movement in every sense of your, not just your movement, your life is really important. And becoming a parent and then adding the juggle of that also changed my practice. So my practice has changed many, many times and continues to change. And then I started working with resorts and hotels, and I've been very fortunate and traveled all over and taught some of the most special, could make me cry yoga classes on the beach in different parts of the world. And now I'm the face of wellness for the Ritz-Carlton in Santa Barbara, their Bacar Resort, where I just got back from last weekend teaching another retreat. And each weekend I do this. I grow and I'm humbled more in my practice, just moving with other people and women in the same stage of life as me. I've trained men too, and men are welcome, but the last retreat was female focused. And it was really special. Even the morning of my last session, I changed my entire plan for the last morning, and everyone was crying at the end, and they were like, this is the most amazing class. And I said, I just listened to what was in my heart and spending a few days with you and what I felt we needed to close with. So yeah, I don't know if that answers a little about me. I love my kids. I love to laugh. I love improv. So my workouts a lot of times are improv based, down to the puppy coming in, down to, the last morning of my retreat on Sunday. And I just think meeting yourself where you are in any given day is really important. And especially being a parent, you are always on your toes and you're always juggling. And from pregnancy to postnatal to everything, my practice just has to be what it is. It is what it is. You have to accept it. You can't fight things. And so some days I have a plan that I want to work out, or I wanted to come in here and do my own movement before this amazing workshop. That did not happen. And that's okay. I will move tomorrow, hopefully in an intentional way. That I have realized having kids and juggling multiple careers and being a wife, a friend, a sister, a mother, your movement needs to support where you are in life. So some days I could sit here and put on a pop song and just dance till I'm sweating. And some days I might want to do like a child's pose and a stretch. I have a Pilates reformer that I love so much. And even without a Pilates reformer, the foundation of Pilates and having a strong powerhouse and core, as I slouched and realized that and corrected myself, supports you in every way. And I really have, I've always said, if you're, strong, which going back to bearing children, from childbirth to recovering, and nurturing your body after childbirth to juggling, being a parent or a caretaker, it takes a strong core from your heart to your actual belly, your solar plexus, and your strong foundation, so that you have enough in your cup to be able to help and take care of the other people in your life. And my self-care is non-negotiable, and it looks different every day. One thing that never looks different is my skincare routine, which I just love, because I love the feeling of a gua sha. I love a heat in a sauna. I love a bath. I love tea. I love rituals and a walk. I mean, self-care could be, a hug, a walk, a meditation, some yummy smelling oils. I have a candle burning. I walk the line of woo and science, and I have some crystals, but I also come from one of my very good friends is from a very big science background, and I spent a lot of time growing up with her. So again, that goes back to staying on your own mat, practicing what you preach, which to me is just taking care of yourself and blasting out love to everyone and yourself as much as you can. And let's see, did I get everything on this slide. I think we can move to the next slide. I'm going to put my sweatshirt on because I'm cold. So then we're going to just go with it. Okay. Multiple careers. I mean, this is actually somewhere I'm also very much a student in right now, because I have for so long juggled so many careers, and they have all served me, and I love them all. And none of them do I want to put down. And yet I constantly say, to practice what I preach, you have to put down what you're holding to get what you really want. And as we approach this holiday season, and as I've had a wonderfully, I'm in such gratitude for all of the opportunities and jobs this year that I've juggled. I look back right now as I want to just slow down. Today was a very nice, cold and rainy day in Los Angeles. And I said this morning, I was like, I can't do all of this anymore. I don't want to. It's not serving me. And so to go back to quality over quantity, whether or not you're a good multitasker, which I am a very good one, by the way, but is that serving me? I don't know. And yet I am able to do it all. And I love many things, and many things light me up. So there's not one answer. As I say to my kids, there's two truths. You can have two feelings at the same time. You can have multiple loves for multiple things. I want to be a performer forever. And yet also sometimes my stage is a yoga mat, and sometimes my stage is reading a book. And sometimes I have the opportunity of being on stage or on camera with amazing people. So back to my practice, I think the reality of juggling everything is the quality, not necessarily the quantity. And that being said, there is a lot of quantity. The to-do list is not necessarily going to get shorter. They might not all get checked off. Your movement might not look like what you wanted it to look like because you had to go finish a work deadline. And yet, how do you accept that? And how do you show up still for yourself? Is that a 5-minute sun salutation? Is that a meditation? That's something sometimes I still struggle with. When I'm in my good meditation practice, I am like DJing life. And then sometimes it gets too busy. And that seems to be the thing for me that goes first, which stinks because it really serves me when I do it every day. And I notice how much happier and calmer I am. So again, I'm very much learning there. And I do think to be able to juggle multiple careers is both a gift and a hurdle I'm working through right now, because so many things make me happy, as I'm sure for other people they do as well. And yet the quality over the quantity, I think, is a big thing that I am personally going to flow through, especially in the holiday season, when being cozy, being grateful, being with family, getting those extra oxytocin hugs, having that tea, watching a movie, those little things make a big difference to be able to then show up and tackle whatever it is in your day, in your life. So that's the reality. Did I do everything on that? Okay. Oh, well, movement, I mean, again, it feels good to feel good. So the days, and we all have that, I'm sure, I have many days where there's either back-to-back Zooms, or if you have a desk job, maybe you're sitting constantly, or you're traveling, you're on an airplane. The days that I don't move, I am just not as calm, positive, able to juggle things when I need those endorphins. And I really, truly think everyone does, down to my kids. The first thing my son does at his preschool is they give, they're outside playing in the sandbox, playing with the chickens, doing all, being physically active, because they can't even settle until they have moved their body. And it's the same, even as hectic as the mornings can be. If you have little ones, you're up, you're making breakfast, you're making lunches. Now we're getting the puppy to take out, all the things. And yet, if you move, even if you walk for 10 minutes, or you could do a family practice. We put on a lot of music and dance a lot. We're big into music, and movement and music are really hand in hand. My playlists, which I wish I could play on a glow, they're always in my ear if you're wondering what I'm listening to. My playlists inspire me to move. And my husband's a musician, and my kids are obsessed with music and dancing. So we dance and move every single morning. And whether I'm vacuuming up cereal or cleaning up toys, I am moving, and I make intentional movement out of that. The cleanup routine is a full workout. The cleaning of vacuuming, I'm always saying vacuum with robustness and with fervor. Move. It feels so good to move, and it feels good to get a good sweat, or it feels good to stretch. I mean, everything, it just feels good to move. So to start your day with some movement and mindfulness. And for me, a ritual is really important. And that being said, there are plenty of days where there are the back-to-back Zooms and I don't get to move right away. So then in those days, it's those little micro breaks, and it's getting up and stretching or walking around the block or coming in here and, doing a flow, anything to get out of my head and into my body. Is it breath work? Is it, literally holding a plank, which, I love planks so much because they are so much about a strong foundation. And even just a plank, it works. My whole shtick, that's the word that comes to my mind, is being able to have these strong foundational moves and going back to figuring out how to hold a strong, long plank and then add variations. That could be the movement. And when you can do that, again, that's that core that's working your legs, your arms, everything. But that's a simple movement with many different variations, and that you can do anywhere without any props. That goes back to your hands being active on the mat, your shoulders dropping away from your ears, and your core being activated, pushing into your heels, strengthening your legs. It's a simple movement and it works everything. And so it's, again, quality over quantity. So these short things, these mindful moments, these breaks to get up and get fresh air or walk, hike, whatever you can do at whatever time is such a gift. And to go back to, gratitude, to be able to move is a gift. So I think recognizing that too, if you switch the dialogue, is really, really special and important and can inspire you wherever you're at in your day or your life. That movement is a beautiful thing. Did I cover all of those things? Okay. Well, I did. I'll do more quality over quantity, because truly I was humbled during pregnancy when I first started using blocks. And for years, I knew I was such a flexible person from my dance background and from all my yoga and all my Pilates. And yet I was not going into my strength. I was going into my flexibility for a long time. And when I changed that in my practice and started using blocks, started using bolsters, all the things to make, even those pigeons feel really yummy. So you can really release your muscles. You can get into that deep stretch. You can ground yourself into the earth and lengthen yourself up. Part of Pilates is that, and yoga, that yin yang of, how can you ground and lengthen? How can you, surrender to the discomfort of a certain yoga pose or a Pilates pose, and then use your breath to make your way through it. Support yourself. I've had, lumbar, spine, lower back sensitivities since I was little. I would be doing ballet at 8 years old, and the teacher would say, "Can you stick your tailbone in?" And I said, "I am. It's just, I have a sway back." So supporting my Pilates practice, I love, a 9-inch Pilates ball, because I realized, and learned putting that under my tailbone supported my lower back, so I could actually strengthen those abdominal muscles and not let my quads do all the work, or my hip flexors. So being mindful about your form, to me, is just, it's like a non-negotiable. Foundation, form, all of that. And even if you go back to basics, I went back to, getting an Ashtanga certification, which is so much repetition, which is so much, it's a detoxifying practice, because you are just drilling the same moves and learning the correct form. And then you can build on that. It's the same way if you're having trouble doing a push-up, do a kneeling push-up. Or if it hurts your wrist, it might be because you're dumping into your wrist, figure out how to use your whole hand and use your arm for strength to support you. A plank and even a chaturanga, it's ergonomically built that your wrists are under your shoulders, that you can hold that and have control. And Pilates is control, speed, flexibility, strength, balance. So how do you combine all of that? Do less reps. Get comfortable with that movement before you start adding on. I trained clients one-on-one for many years, which, now I'm doing more groups and online training. But the correcting of, a sinking lower back, hands like this in a plank, shoulders up to the ears, which I'm constantly the lengthening of your body and your form is so important, because it prevents injury. It helps you get results, which I feel like most people want from the movement. And it makes you feel really strong and powerful in your practice. And I've added recently some strength training, where I go to a trainer with a group of moms at a gym, and we just feel really powerful to be able to, I lift my own body weight now, and I'm, that was never the kind of training I did, but in this perimenopause stage in my life, that is really important. And so constantly learning and going back to my mat or my practice and seeing where I need to adjust to meet me where I am in my life. And breathing. I mean, I constantly talk about that. And I always remind myself because I'm a fast talker, as you see. So taking those moments to breathe and then connect your breath to your work and your movement, or to reset, to meditate, to take a moment when you're stressed out or your heart's racing or you're overwhelmed. Your breath it's free. It's right there in your body, and it's very powerful. There are so many different breathwork exercises and ways to incorporate your breath into your movement, down to Pilates when you're activating those core muscles. If you're breathing in and your stomach's, filled with air and puffed out, you're not going to get as much activation and feel everything working as much as you're getting all the air out and feeling your core really activate. So breath is so important. And I talk about the mind-body connection with that, because you're breathing. Sometimes you have to remind yourself. So you have to be mindful in your movement, mindful in your breath, mindful in your practice, so that your body and your breath can work together. 5 to 10 minutes. I'm lucky if I get that a lot of days. And everyone's like, oh, you work out all the time. Every day looks different. And I fought that for years when I was younger. I had to go to the gym and do like this on the elliptical, and then take a class, and then do this. And there's just, for me, at least in my life and where I'm at, there's no space for that sort of rigidity. I have to accept that I have living creatures when it's staring at me in the door. I feel like I have to bring him in now because he's so cute. Hold on. I know I'm not supposed to leave this workshop, but I need this pup. Come here. Come here, buddy. I know. Okay, we won the Life Lotto, adopted this pup last week on a rescue. I don't know how I got this dog, but this dog is also this little gift, because from the rescue called me out of thousands of people. Somehow we got chosen because she said, this dog is going to be 60 to 80 pounds and needs a lot of movement. And she said, it looks like you have a very active family, that you're going to keep it on track. I know your puppy, so you just want to bite. And my husband, we take care of a friend's dog at points, and he'll skateboard with the dog. He'll, we all go on bikes, scooters. I love an adult scooter, and this guy's going to need a lot of movement. So, if you have a pet, use that as I know you're a puppy. Use that as an inspiring way to get movement, and a 5 to 10 minute walk is better than nothing. So moving is just so non-negotiable. Moving should never feel like a chore, because it's such a gift to move. You have a body that works. We get to breathe air. It's going to be a real gift and challenge to get, to just get your self out of your head. When you move, you have to be present in your body, whether or not, like meditation, thoughts come and go. Movement, it frees all of that. And so to me, it's switching the dialogue of, I have to log these hours at the gym because I have a certain goal, or I want to look a certain way, or I want to be stronger than that person. No, I mean, life, if we're competing, you're only competing against yourself, and this, it's you and you for your life. You have people that come and go. If you're hopefully lucky, you have a family, maybe a puppy that's going to keep you on your toes, but stay on your own mat. And especially as an actor in LA, it is a world of competition. And the way I have figured out how to navigate this career and even my own movement practice is staying on my own mat. And so the more you can embrace that and not feel like you have to do it, but that you want to do it, switching that dialogue can make such a big difference. If I get everything on there, precision and presence. I mean, that. Oh, he wants to leave now. That's the same with, your strong core and foundation and quality over quantity. How you move and how you fully execute each part of a move, to me, is so important. Yes, can you take him? Thank you. He came in for a snuggle, but he wants to go. I love you. Thank you. I just think, yes, that's to me quality over quantity. And so when you're present and focusing on your practice, the results are endless, and the possibilities. I think we can move on, maybe. I will repeat, I think I said half of this, but I'll repeat it because it is of importance. But alignment, the way that we hold ourselves in our core, going back to Pilates, holds your rib cage off of your spine. The way that you lengthen from the top of your head to your tailbone or to your toes, how you are standing up and show up in life, just sitting there, whether you're taking a meeting or waiting in line, to how your practice is, to navigating, any injury or pain. I mean, as I've gotten older, I'm sure people have on their own journeys. We get different injuries just from life, wear and tear. So you can work on that and prevent that by making adjustments, using props to support your practice, slowing down or finding a different type of movement. Maybe you were doing tons of yoga for years, but now you need to add some strength training, or vice versa. Maybe you need to add some sort of, music or inspiration, and how to slow your practice down to go back to those strong foundational moves so you can show up for your movement in a different ways. Maybe it's taking a different kind of class that you haven't taken to figure out how your body is for whatever stage in life. Again, whether that's in the child phase, or, us getting older and navigating where our body is at and how age is, how we support that is really important, which is why breath, control movements that activate the muscles, so you can fully get a result instead of, blowing through a move and possibly injuring yourself. You could be mindful about it, connect your breath, focus on your form and your strength, and get so many more benefits from that move than blowing through it, which is, you choose your own adventure. So I'm never one to preach what to do, but for me, that has very much served me, and for my community and clients, that has really helped. And your breath, again, just always supports you in that, because we have to breathe to live, and to move, it can, down to stretching. I have a mantra that I say to people when I'm teaching a lot of times near the end as they're stretching, and I say, inhale, let, exhale, go. And that's such a metaphor for life too. Can we let go of control? Can you let go of your muscle when you're stretching? If you have, tight hips, use blocks under your knees. How are you going to let go of your hip flexors if you're gripping them? So how can you really breathe through and adjust your practice, whether you're doing a high impact workout and you are breathing fast and your heart's racing and you want to slow your heart rate down, or whether you're trying to release a muscle in a stretch, but you're gripping it and then you say, let go, and your muscle will actually let go. And that was a trick I actually learned in one of my ballet classes in college, where we were doing these extension moves. And this teacher of mine said, if you just focus on where that muscle is tight and take a breath and tell it to let go, it will stretch even more. And it works every time. So I encourage you to try that. And it doesn't mean forcing, you don't, even if you just have a soft bed knee and then you release, breathe, release. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And I think at any stage in life, you can go back to those foundational things of breath, of a strong foundation, and you practice, and your movement can completely change. And, there's no perfect size. There's no perfect workout. I think it's just meeting yourself where you are every day. Back to improv. Yes. And I think we can go to the next slide. Carving out time can be very hard. And again, as someone that teaches movement, I sometimes days will go by in a row where I have not come in the studio, or I've not taken a class. I move constantly, again, from vacuuming to cleaning up to, even I've had friends over and they're like, the way you walk around your house and pack up and move, they're like, that's a whole workout. So I always think if your engine is going and you are intentional with your movement, I park further away from going in the grocery store. I encourage our kids and everything. We get home, let's do this first, or let's all go to the trampoline and move for a few minutes, whatever it is, even if I don't get that, focused time to exercise, which, when I was younger, used to be an hour or longer. And now I'm, lucky if I get increments of 5 to 10 minutes, or I feel so blessed to be able to teach on Glow, because a lot of times that's my movement too. And I'm doing the the teaching of it, the planning, the giving the cues, and yet it feels so good to be able to move, and that's time I carve out for myself. And then when I do get to take a class or have a friend over and work out, or just put on a playlist and blast it in here and move however way I'm inspired, that again meets me where I am, and it looks different every day. And I think letting go of that control and being in acceptance that we're alive. We have a physical body for who knows how long, and who knows what happens after, but take care of it, nourish it, give it some lotion, detoxify it, support your gut and support your movement. And I feel like, again, when you're not trying to get to be a certain place, when you're not trying to put pressure on, I have to, log this amount of time, and I have to get this amount of sweat in, and I have to, get to a size of a jean. I just don't think that's going to serve anyone, but maybe it will. Again, if it serves you, then great. I find just love in every way of your practice and your movement, for whatever that looks like, is a pretty great place to be. And it's like the secret: the more you put out, you get back. So if you're sitting there stressing about a certain amount of time to work out or a size to be, it's great to have a goal, but when you can let go of the outcome of that goal and just do your practice, I think that the benefits are endless. And my body and life changed when I had freedom of thinking I had to, like in my 20s, I was like, you have to earn your shower from a really good sweat and workout. No, I don't have to earn my shower. I can take a bath if I want. That's a switching of your mindset that, maybe comes with age. So I don't know, or if you're there already and young, you've got it sorted out. It took me a while to get there, and I'm still learning on it. I love a family movement. As I said, right now we're really into the K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack. My daughter even came with me to cryotherapy the other week, which I just recently in the last few years discovered. I was always freezing growing up in basically the tundra in upstate New York, so never thought I would like cryo. But I had, again, a lot of back injury last year. And so she'll come with me and she'll pick the song, and she put on Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters. And I'm sitting there in the cryo chamber, just like, and the woman there was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Your kid is dancing with you. You're lip syncing and you're in negative 167 degrees. And she's like, you're just thrilled. And so it's the same. It brings joy. My husband will play the bass. The kids and I will rage out. It's wonderful. And same with, our new pup. We're going to get on the scooters, the bikes, get out and move. I love going on a family hike. We love exploring. I love the beach. I love swimming. My kids could be in the pool for a longer than probably a good amount of time, over an hour. They'll stay in there, and they just are their best self after. They sleep so much better. They are calmer, their nervous system, everything. So it's movement in any shape and form you can get it. And I think that's so important. I think I covered that. Should we go forward? I know we're getting short on time too. Movement with family. I can't work out with my husband, I'll tell you that. He has a very different practice than I do. He was almost a professional soccer player. He's a skateboarder, a surfer, a very different type of movement than me. And so when I tried to train him on the Pilates machine and or doing yoga, he likes it, but it's not, I become too much of a teacher. So my kids and I benefit greatly from working out together, and we're great out in nature, but I've accepted that, again, I can't control my partner's workout. We can have different views on, how our practice wants to be, but we always, every single weekend, and as much as we can during the week, we take walks, bike rides. We show up together as a family for that. We dance together a lot. And yet we both respect each other's other practice. I could not go for the hour-long bike rides he goes on. I don't like riding bike. I like riding bikes, my electric bike, for fun. I do not want to go uphill and go on a bike like that. So accepting also what moves you to move, what makes you feel good. I could dance forever with good music, and he could bike ride forever. So, how do you turn that into fun? You find what lights you up, and then you move that way. Modeling self-regulation through movement. I wrote all of this, by the way, and then it's just reading it in real time that I'm going back to. I can honestly, I'll have a stressed out moment and I go, I just got to walk around the block, and I will put on my, a playlist. breathe and walk and get out in nature, and I'm a different person. So I think, and same, you could get off Zooms and then stand up and stretch against a wall or hold a downward dog and breathe, and it can regulate or change wherever you are. Again, my kids get home from school, they might be wired. I'm like, okay, let's go to trampoline, jump. And I'll sit there on the ground and I used to teach so many rebounder classes. I'll give them a class from the ground, and then it's fun with the best time. So I think you can just switch for movement because it gives you so many feel good hormones. So there's that. Maybe. My teaching style, I mean, it's the kitchen sink workout again. I love a slow grounded stretch class where it's, inhale, let, exhale, go. And I love a, full throttle, let's do, high reps or, fast paced movement and sweat. Let's mix different modalities because then your body doesn't know where you're going to hit it with. If you're doing the same thing by rote all the time, your body's kind of like, oh, yeah, we know this. But if you're keeping yourself on your toes in life and in your practice, which everything kind of has a duality there, I think your practice can really grow because I don't know. I found for myself that my practice grew when I stopped just logging hours at the gym with sort of not uninspired movement, but not the mindful self-care, self-love version of my practice that's now. But again, as on Glow, you can see there's all kinds of workouts, Pilates based, yoga based, mixes of things, kickboxing, stretching, all kinds of things. And again, going back to my acting background and improv, sometimes I change it in the moment, and sometimes I'll switch to, high reps to then suddenly low. And, I don't know, there's hopefully something for everyone. And if not, there's amazing other teachers on there, but I love teaching and I love movement and I love people and making people feel their best. So there's something for everyone, hopefully. And yeah, my whole thing is having a strong foundation, quality over quantity, and, breath, balance, and loving your body and your movement. I feel like I kind of got many guided practice, even down to that core or the plank where everything works, but it's just, you could just hold a plank, and do variations on it and get so many benefits from that. And then if you do that even 3 minutes, 10 times a day, there's 30 minutes. So, yeah, I'm going to open up to Sarah because I'll just forever. Oh, am I supposed to do a closing? Oh, I can't hear you. No. There you go.
Is there another slide? Because I want to make sure you get through your stuff. I was just letting you know I'm there for when you wrap it up.
There you go. Here's your takeaways. Your practice is not separate from it. Small, consistent sessions, big infrequent versus big infrequent workouts. I feel like I covered that. And also, if you can do a big workout, great, do it. But I think just taking the pressure off is, for me at least, really improved my life. Moving with your family or friend. I love working out with friends too. And those are my chosen family. So I think that counts as family. Quality. Yeah. Quality, and that can be intense too. The quality of your plank, that can be an intense burning in your core. So it'll, inform the rest of your movement and that your well-being. I think it's the most important thing. So there you go. I just talked to your ear off for an hour. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, no, Amy, it's such a real treat. For those of you who are tuning in, please do, if you want to chime in with some questions, the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, those 9 little dots, you can click them and you can get the Q&A in there. But before we do that, I have to jump in. I had no idea that you were an Ashtangi. It's very rare to be actually certified with Ashtanga. Were you with Eddie Stern in New York?
I did Yoga 101. There are these 2 girls here. I did Noah May's, not their names from the yoga. My like guru in life, Rebecca Beninati, pointed me towards them. And years ago, I was like, should I go to yoga work? And she was, I never talk badly about anyone, but she said, for you, no. She said, I want you to do Ashtanga first. And then, yeah. So Yeah. And that kicked, I mean, I was like ill during that because it's so detoxifying, that practice too. And it was amazing. And it changed my Uttanasana, completely changed. I was like, I've been doing everything completely wrong for like a long time, but I didn't feel bad about it. I felt so strong. And, you do 1,000 chaturangas in that. And that's how everyone's like, how do you do so many? I'm like, well, you do the full Ashtanga flow, you'll do a lot of it. Chaturangas. Yeah.
So I started teaching with Anthony at the Crunch Gym in like 97 or 8 or something like that before he met Rebecca and opened that studio. So that's bananas.
Oh my,
A long time.
Mommy texted me. She's like, I mean,
I haven't heard from her in forever.
my friend's name. I mean, she's now my Reiki ever. She's amazing.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Amy, what I wanted to ask you is, having done so many different types of practice, and now I know you actually also did Ashtanga, so rare, so many different modalities that you spend a lifetime not just learning in your head, not just learning in your body, but like really integrating into like an encyclopedia of practices that you can do for yourself at any time. And as you describe the way you've been navigating your life and your family, you shared with us, oh, well, this time then I do this thing, this time then I do this thing. And you've spent a lifetime at this, but some people are much newer to the practice. And if they feel overwhelmed by a moment and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go do a 10-minute thing, Amy said I could. I think that the first question is, but oh my God, what do I do? I know I could walk or I could this. How do I know when to walk it out? How do I know when to do a restorative pose? How, you spend so long, you kind of know what to do for yourself. How can people who are new to this practice, as they're starting to learn all these things, how can they figure out which thing to sort of grab for?
It's a great question. And again, I think it goes back to where you are in your life and in your day. So for example, after having kids, the first thing I did was walk. That was like, can you make it around the block and walk? Can you, and then can I build on from there? I started a simple, yoga practice again, simple sun salutations. Then, simple, adding weights and adding, again, building a strong foundation, focusing on getting your form right. And, listening to your body. So maybe one day you're feeling like, you need to move maybe. And that could be, a modified jumping jack instead of a high impact one. You could do a low impact one. Jazzercise forever in my book. I'm like, let's just, literally you get your engine going, you move. So one day you might feel tight and you might want to stretch and you could find a beginner stretch or yoga class, or you might just want to put some music on. And I always say, if you're going to walk, for like your walk like someone is like behind, like walk till you are like out of breath. And you can even use your walking, I have walking classes as well. You can use your walk as, doing an interval training, turn it into a HIIT workout, stop at a curb and then do toe taps on it, speed up, slow down. I hold my arms out and do like arm circles. And I'm like, I don't care if you think I look crazy because I feel great. So I think meeting your body where you're at, if you feel like you can push yourself to try something new. I mean, you could take a dance class with a friend. You could go on Glow and take, a 10-minute yoga. You could try a kickboxing class. If it doesn't feel good, stop it and try something else. So I think listening to, if you feel like you need a sweat and a push, which a lot of times people are not sure about, but then once you start moving, it feels really good. But maybe you have a day where you're not feeling so good and your back hurts or something. And then you take, some sort of stretch class or a yoga class that's a, beginner, and then you build on that practice.
Yeah. And what about for people like, there's so many different sort of philosophies with if you have an injury. Some people are like, you should still keep moving if you have it. Some people say you should rest. Some people say like a combination of, okay, if you've got a shoulder injury, then just use your lower body or because, when we're not 25 anymore, most of us have like a little something here or there that's going to go. And it can be really frustrating, especially when you're like, I just want to finally get back to something. And then I can't do it because this thing hurts. And when I do it, it makes it worse. So I'm wondering if you could kind of speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, years ago, my uncle, who's a ER surgeon, I'd hurt my back and I was like, oh, I just can't move. And he's like, you have to move a back injury. And yet then I also just recently had a back injury and like couldn't move and didn't feel good moving. But then the way I found myself back to like, I was just doing like mindful deep squats, trying to reactivate my core or figuring out where it was that was really glitching and needed focus. So it was my upper body and shoulder. I still was able to walk and move the lower half of myself because there is, and same with my arm. My chiropractor and acupuncturist was like, you're going to get frozen shoulder if you baby that too much. So, pardon me. That being said, depending, I always say, listen to your doctor. I do play a doctor on TV, but I'm not one. So I know I don't have to say that. So I think you have to listen to your body. I do think with a lot of injuries, yes, you need to listen to your doctor and do what they say. But I do think, down to, again, I was at an orthopedist and he was like, move your arm. And he just gave me different movements because otherwise I would have gotten frozen shoulder. Or if, your back hurts and then you don't move it for a week, you could then retweak it versus if you have some mobility. So, and then supporting, that recovery with whatever, heat or cold. I mean, I'm big into, extreme sauna and cold plunge and, again, to cry, all of that. So, and I have mats, I have a PEMF mat that delivers, electromagnetic frequency waves that, that just, it helps me sleep and it helps recovery. And so I think recovery combined with movement, if your doctor says that's okay, I would say is personally, but I also couldn't stay still just for my nerves. So. But it could be a walk. Maybe it's a slower walk. Maybe you can, hold a hand weight, or you could put an ankle weight on, so maybe you could adjust your body and practice and move a different part more and strengthen, you have a, lumbar, L4, L5, something. You actually want to strengthen and stretch your hips and your glutes. So you want to support the muscles around it.
First of all, I've taken your walking classes on Glow, and I really like them. And I like the walking, especially for, it's going to sound strange for somebody who's been teaching yoga forever, but sometimes if I'm in a really stressful situation or I'm having a really tough time, I actually am like almost emotionally not even capable of being present with my feelings and my movement. Like and the temptation is to not move because I'm not ready to engage emotionally. And sometimes that's the case. But what I find I really love about the walking practice is I can be moving and I don't necessarily have to process, oh my God, I don't have to necessarily, yoga teaches you to be present with everything. Sometimes you don't want to be present with everything. So I'm wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, get out of your head, move your body. And, sometimes I'll just take a walk and make a phone call to a friend that maybe I would have done that on the couch, but I'm like, well, why wouldn't I move? And then, if there's something I'm working through, then you have a friend or someone to help you through that. Or you don't know how to move. And I'm just like, walk around the block, reset. It gives you a full reset. I mean, there are times where I'm, same, so frustrated or don't know what to do. And then I'm like, oh, just get outside and walk. And if you come back and you still feel in this frustrated place, you can figure that out then. But if you get outside and walk, chances are you might want to walk a little longer. You might be like, oh, there's a breeze. I'm on planet Earth. I'm on a floating ball. And you might find that, you feel better. There's so much science behind walking. And now, I mean, that could be your practice. It's just walking and being out in nature, a purest form of meditation and hiking and moving. And so I think walking can reset you in every way, I mean, isn't there something like, go take a walk? There's like a line on that, like remembering what quotes and things are from, but is that like a sports reference or something? Walk it off, walk it off.
We only have another moment or two, but I don't want to like end on like a negative, but I think it would also really be helpful for some of us, before we had the internet, before we had videos, most of learning to do all of this stuff was in person. And we had somebody watching over us to say, oh, not this way, but this way. We've got about 30 seconds, a minute left. If you could just share a little, maybe some of the mistakes you've seen, some things, precautions people should keep in mind for form or for practice?
Yeah. I mean, it's so often what I repeat constantly in my classes, which is again, your form and alignment. And it's, for years people were like, I'm not getting results in my arm workout. I'm like, well, you're working your shoulders and your traps. Drop your shoulders, work your arms, slow down your movement, feel the muscle work. And same thing with your core. People are working out with their rib cage splayed, knit that together, which is actually one of the hardest things for people to do, to figure out your Pilates form and your neutral spine, and pushing the back of your rib cage down and your tailbone, but leaving a little bit of a neutral spine. So I think figuring out the correct form, and it could be standing against a wall behind you and pushing your arms back and figuring out what that like shoulder down, lengthened up, strong powerhouse looks like, which again, I feel like you get that strong powerhouse and it's like an octopus that you can do. It's like your powerhouse and core is so strong that anything is possible. You can do more reps. You can do more strength poses because you're supported by your, where all of your organs are in the middle of your body. So I'd say shoulders down, connecting your core. And then, down to even, the amount of people that I think do squats, which I'm not using, and, come down like this. You have to stand up, and that's, again, that goes back to core strength, but then you could hurt your back. You're not getting all the benefits from it. So, and again, modify where you need. Start slow, start with a beginner and be proud to be there, and then grow your practice from there. So I would say, shoulders, core, and then, trying to just correctly activate, muscles. And in planks a lot, same. I see the dumping into the wrists, which I'm like, use your hand. And then a lot of people like push their plank forward, and I'm like, push into your heels, activate your quads. I think working on that plank, it's just, you can't go wrong because it informs so much of your practice, no matter what modality. So,
Amy, this has been such a delight to have you here. I want to just remind everybody that Amy has practices in so many of our different styles on Glow. She's got walking, she's got recovery, she's got yoga, she's got Pilates, she's got Pilates fusion, she's all so many different things. Really one of our most diverse teachers, and it really helps keep all of the information fresh. It keeps people new and engaged, and we're really grateful to have you.
Oh, I feel the same. I'm so honored to have a place to do all the things I love, and there's so many, and share that with everyone, because movement looks so different for so many people, and it's so fun to mix it up. So fun. So, yeah.
Great. Yeah. So just lastly, our next up in this series is going to be The Evolving Path, Dialogue on Mentorship, Mastery, and the Art of Teaching. This is going to be, I'm really excited for this. We're taking our master teacher, Jason Crandall, who you all know is sort of one of our main Glow people. And Jason was actually the teacher of Kwame, who's also one of our teachers. And at this point, he's also a master teacher. So the two of them are going to talk a little bit about the teacher-student relationship, tips on teaching. We know we have a lot of teachers that are our Glow members, and we feel really honored for that. So we'll be diving into that next time this December. Amy, thank you again so much. Thank you all Glow members for watching. A huge thank you to Lindsay Bracco for making this all work and navigating all the details. It's really been an honor, and everybody, good luck over the holidays. Take all of Amy's tips for navigating this time, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone, for joining.